And then I remember having a conversation with somebody, and I had to stop because it wasn't there. It faded away. And I stopped. Like, oh my God, I don't hear it. It was like that was the moment. It was like a moment. And I felt so like confident, like I could do this. It's working. And that was the confidence level that really helped me propel me into to like get better. And I suffered with tinnitus for months, or even like almost up to a year. And now I experience tinnitus once in a while.
If you'd like to speak with a tinnitus specialist from the comfort of home via a telehealth Zoom session, then please click the link above right here. We offer this to you guys where you can speak with a specialist and get your questions answered. I know a lot of you are desperate looking for help. Please consider scheduling the free consultation with my team at Treble Health, and we'll take care of you. Steve, welcome to Treble Health Live New York City event.
Thank you, Dr. Ben.
Tell us about your story with tinnitus.
So it all started in January of 2022. Went to bed one night, everything was normal. And I woke up the next morning with a strange buzz in my brain. And for the first couple of days, I thought it was a cold. Similar kind of feeling, a sensation happens when your ears are clogged from a cold. And I did have like a little runny nose. It was January. So, a week went by, 2 weeks went by, and the running nose went away, but the buzzing did not. And that's when I started to panic, get concerned, and start looking into what it might be. So the first thing I did was to make an appointment with the audiologist, which I did, and did a normal hearing test, and everything came back normal, which was bizarre to me. I thought maybe there was something going on, but my hearing was very good. Then I went to an ENT doctor who did a ABR test, audio brain response test, because that was one of the things that they said, well, just rule out something like a tumor or something like that. And if that was negative, then you probably wouldn't require an MRI. So when that came back positive or negative, and it came back that it was fine, there was nothing abnormal about the ABR exam, then, she basically said with all these other ENT doctors said, well, it sounds like you have tinnitus, and, just kind of learn to live with it, essentially.
What do you do for work? What profession do you work in?
I'm a pharmacist. I have a doctorate of pharmacy and master's in pharmaceutical medicine, and I work in the pharmaceutical industry.
So did you go into the research at this point? Did you go to other doctors as a doctor of pharmacy? We also want to know what's your opinion on pharmaceutical drugs and vitamin supplements, because I'm sure you looked into the research there as well. I
was really more concerned about if there was a physiological aspect to it that I could improve it. Like if it was caused by TMJ, or if it was caused by something in my neck. And so the first couple of months was really me trying to cure it through those means. Right. And I really didn't put a lot of stock into the tinnitus pills over the counter, the vitamins. I knew that probably wasn't going to work. I tried it. I tried it because I had nothing to lose from it, but I really didn't believe that it was going to make a difference. And, it turns out it really didn't.
Okay. Got it. And what happens next? So you're in this spot where you are trying some things. You're not really working with other doctors at this point. So what happened next along your research process, and potentially what were the first moments where you got some relief or you got some answers?
Well, I was in Dr. Google, I Googled, and I've heard of her. I found you, and I found Julian Cowan Hill, and I found other tinnitus YouTube subject matter experts. And just listening to the habituation, the treatment plan that happens with TRT, and understanding that the condition is improvable regardless of what if it's non-physical, if it's something that you can't take a pill for, it will improve. And I didn't really know that. And, because I really didn't study that, I didn't really know that until I started seeing and hearing stories of folks who recovered from tinnitus through TRT and through the process of habituation. That's when, things started to okay, now this is my path. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to get better overnight. This is what I need to do. Now, before I go there, I did everything you could try. I tried acupuncture. I tried craniosacral therapy. And actually, that was actually beneficial to some degree. I really felt like I calmed down a bit. And I remember the first time I did craniosacral therapy, I heard that the volume just kind of calmed down. And I was like, oh my God, it's modulated. It actually changed to some degree. So I felt good about that. But it wasn't sustainable, right? It didn't. When I come home, by the time I got home, it was kind of there again. Acupuncture, I did hypnotherapy. I don't know if everyone's ever tried that, but I just tried everything. I was so like distraught about it because I didn't want this to live with this for the rest of my life.
And what was going on in your life during the daytime, at nighttime? What was actually going on in your day-to-day at this time?
So those first couple of months, when I really came to believe that I got this and it's not going to go away, I really fell off and I was sick. I was really sick. I had to call in medical leave. I was out of work for 2 months. I could not work anymore. And I lost about 25 pounds. I wasn't eating. I wasn't sleeping. I was really bad. I was in bad shape. And so I saw a therapist, a CBT therapist. I spoke to other folks who kind of told me that it can get better. It's going to get better. And that's when I started looking into the stories about people getting better. And that's when I believed that, I came to you and joined your group.
What were those first moments of hope, and essentially what were you doing? Because there is to some degree a natural habituation process, and that's important to highlight. We don't, someone might hear that and think, oh, so I just wait and it's going to get better. That is a very scattered and less likelihood to succeed when we just let habituation naturally occur, right. And it might not get us to the end result that we need to be at. Right. But with tinnitus retraining therapy, for example, which you use, it promotes habituation in a more targeted manner. It's more directed. It's more predictable. What were those first moments after using the tinnitus retraining therapy and the cognitive behavioral therapy techniques as well? What were those first moments of, whoa, this is actually getting better?
Yeah, I had worked with you and Suzanne. Dr. May was my audiologist at Treble Health, and she explained to me the process of habituation and the path. So I had a plan. It was a treatment plan, essentially, right? Utilize your hearing aids to play the sound for the sound therapy, and to understand the process of what's going on in your brain. Yes, it could have happened naturally, but I wasn't in the place from emotionally to let that happen. I was too worried about it. So that was getting in the way. I was getting in the way of my help, right? Of your treatment. So I remember we were on vacation, and I didn't want to go on vacation, but I said it was in April. So this happened in January when I first got it. So we're looking at 3 months into it. I had just got my hearing aids, and I was on vacation at dinner, and I was distracted with the conversation. And up until that moment, it was always there. And then I remember having a conversation with somebody, and I had to stop because it wasn't there. It faded away. And I stopped. Like, oh my God, I don't hear it. It was like that was the moment. It was like a moment. And I felt so confident, like I could do this. It's working. And that was the confidence level that really helped me propel me to get better. And that was a big breaking point. I've had ups and downs since then, but I just knew that was the moment, oh my God, I did not think of it. I didn't hear of it during this entire conversation. And then as soon as I thought that, I heard it again, of course, but it was just wow. And I knew that was the breakthrough for me.
Amazing. So we're all here, in New York City, here as a community, as a group. For all of us here, what is your message to folks who are in a similar position to where you were? Yeah. And if you could also just highlight again what you experienced in terms of volume and intensity of the sound and what it was at its worst, I think that would help provide some context.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was about a 7 or 8. I wouldn't say it was a 10. It was more of 7 or 8 for me. But it not only was just a sound, it was just so distracting, and it was constantly on my mind. I did not think of anything else. To over time in the habituation process and going through the stages of slowly getting moments of breakthroughs where I didn't notice it. And then those moments of breakthroughs continued to happen more and more throughout the weeks until I got to a point where I didn't need the hearing aids anymore. I felt confident that I could go a couple of days without them, or a day without them, and then 2 days without them. And then I would have those moments and I would just distract myself. And by this time, I had calmed down. I felt like my system was, I felt confident that I was going to get better, and I was getting better. And that really helped me really go forward. And I think that would be my recommendation or my advice. Don't give up. Believe that it gets better, because it does get better. But you have to trust it, and trust yourself, trust your system, that over time your brain will adjust and kind of replace the sound with normal sounds. And that's what it did.
Amazing. And let's just give a round of applause to Steve. Thank you, Steve, for sharing your story. I imagine today we can find you working full-time, sleeping well.
Yeah.
Is life back to normal, or are
Yes.
there still times where tinnitus pops up and you're having to manage it?
What I tell people now is, like, I suffered with tinnitus for months, or even like almost up to a year. And now I experience tinnitus once in a while. And when I experience tinnitus, it's usually when I put my head on the pillow. It's there, but it's kind of quiet enough. I put the radio on and I fall asleep. So 95% of the time, it's not really in my awareness anymore.
Thank you. I want to add an important point, which is not every tinnitus is equal or the same. So, hearing Steve's story, hearing where he is today, I don't want each of us to think that that's the goal. Of course, that's a desirable state, but just being mindful, talk to your doctors, talk to your audiologist, because everyone has their relative goal or their relative good outcome, and it might not look like yours. So I just wanted to make that really clear. There's different causes, different subtypes of tinnitus, different expectations. Each person's brain and body responds to treatment in different ways. Do you have any final words here for everyone?
Well, to that point, like, there are differences. And I was talking to Tom before, like, I think we have similar ways where actually my tinnitus changes based on my neck movements, right? I could actually change how it sounds if I do this and do that. So there are different types of tinnitus. And I don't know, what caused it and all that stuff, but just settling down over time, that's very helpful to me. And whether you have the type that I do, or if you don't, I still believe that you'll get better just through that habituation process, because that doesn't change, right? Your brain will adjust to some degree.
Yeah.
So.
Correct. All right. New York City. Thank you guys so much. And again, thank you, Steve. Let's give a round of applause.